got JSON module. So basically, what is JSON module? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So what is this JSON? JSON basically it is a data type, or you can say structure, or whatever you want to say. It's like a structure of data which is used most commonly everywhere, and it is also supported by almost each and every language. Whatever, just like Python is also supporting C, and whatever language you use, each and every one is supported this JSON. So let's try this first JSON. We have some points for before. Just like JSON is mostly used in web applications, APIs, configuration files, database, mobile apps. So JSON is like used in multiple places for storing. Suppose you want to create a game and you want to store data, you need to JSON data. You can store your data in the form of JSON. It is also like supported for multiple systems. So in this way, JSON is very important to learn. So let's get started with the first thing, which is dictionary versus JSON. So what is dictionary? So basically, it is JSON is just a similar like to dictionary, but it has little bit difference. For example, if you're in dictionary like you can create a dictionary and it will have true like capital T and string like double quote or single quote, it doesn't matter. But in JSON, you can only pass a string as a single quote, not as, I mean, double quote, not as a single quote. And also, true will become like small t. So in this way, we're going to check multiple things for JSON. So let's begin with first program here. So we are going to start with Python and just type Python in terminal and import JSON. Okay, now if we try help on JSON. Okay, so we are getting some help and description. So you can see JSON module reference HTTPS is file reference if you want to check. Okay, one more thing. Help on the module is also going to give you file reference. If you are going to search this file, you will get all the documentation properly online. So here you can see we have some examples in JSON, json.dumps like this, decoding JSON, encoding JSON like this way. Now we have classes, so we are not going to call this class. So basically these are errors. So you can see that built-in dot value error. So it is also using error handling. You can also use error handling if you want, and it is very helpful also. And just here you can see just an example of it. Okay, so now next one is for our first program is first function is json.dumps. So what does json.dumps actually do? It is going to accept a dictionary from user and from Python basically, and from Python. We are talking about Python here. It is going to accept a dictionary from user and returns JSON data type. So let's try this. Let's say we have one dictionary like student and it is equals to name. Rahul. And after that, we are going to pass one more thing, which is age. Let me write once again. Student is equals to name. We are going to type Rahul here. And let's try age in single quote because it is going to treat it with, for Python, it will treat same. So for age, 20, and okay, that's it. We have, okay, so we got this data, and we try student. Here we are getting in single quote all of them. Okay, now let's try to do convert into JSON underscore the student. So we are going to convert this data into JSON form. So we are going, for that we need to use json.dumps. Basically, what is dump? Dumps means basically dumping a string into this function for converting to JSON object. So if I try it like students, no, the student basically. Now, if what we are going to do first thing, it is print json underscore student. Just print this variable. What does it created? Let's see it. So you can see one thing you can see in dictionary, Python makes as my Python makes a single quote. Okay, Python makes single quote while while JSON uses double quote. Why? Basically, in JavaScript, something like single quote, maybe sometimes we have as variable or something else. I don't know about actual JavaScript, but main thing is you should note here for string in JSON, it should be always double quote only. So although this dictionary has double quote, but Python will automatically interpret as string data type, and JSON will pass it as string data type of Python for dictionary, and JSON will convert it into double quotes. So in this way, you can just like see here, we have single quote here, and JSON returned it as double quote. And let's check the type of this JSON student. Now if I try to type this, so okay, it is okay, so it is string still somehow. This rates string. Okay, it is a string, but no need to worry. So it is not creating object. Basically, if I want to create a own class, if I tell oops, then I'll tell that. Uh, but it is creating class string like here. But main thing you should note that is it is JSON data type, and it is used mostly in API calling. Okay. Now our next function is that json.loads. So basically, why I need this first of all? I need this because whenever I need to pass the data, I cannot pass dictionary. So for passing this data, I need to convert this into JSON format. So even that this is not a JSON is data type, but it is in JSON format, so I can pass it like that. Okay, now next one is json.loads. Now suppose I send that drawn data which is in the form of JSON, and let's say that web application is also returning my data in the form of API, or I mean JSON format. So what will how you can read that? Let's say we have sended data is JSON underscore student, and reading data, what we say, the data we get is equals to, let's say get is equals to, like, so get is equals to, we can do, okay, just directly do this, we can go into that JSON underscore student. Okay, so let's continue. So now we are getting, let's say we get the data, and it is, and that data is equals to get. So now let's try for this. So we have data which is get. So if I want to get this data as a dictionary, so let's say py data. Let's say we are going to say Python data. So we are getting that Python data. So for that we are going to use json.load. Basically, dump means sending something, as like throwing something, and loading means you can just like grabbing something and taking out something. It's like, so let's say suppose there is a can, and if you're throwing it something, it is like dump, and if you're taking out something, it is like load. So now let's json.load get. Okay, it is not doing like this. Just wait a second. Okay, one thing I made mistake. It is not load, it is loads. I will tell after this, just after this, what is different in load and loads. So now if I check py underscore data, so here you can see, and even if you check the type of the py underscore data, this class dictionary. So we have successfully converted our data from dictionary to the JSON, and after that we have converted our JSON data to dictionary, basically converting back. So in this way, you can work with the JSON file, and you can easily send your data and receive data using JSON module. So our next one is, okay, next one is dumps and load. We have covered that. Okay, now our next operation is json.dump. Okay, as I said, there's difference between dump and dumps and load and loads. For load, I said that basically. So for what's happening when I'm using json.dump, so I have variable which is student, and it is a dictionary type, and it has a dictionary data, and I want to convert that data into JSON format. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply a file operation on this. Okay, so this is the student.json, Make sure the data type is extension is JSON as file. After that, JSON dot student. So basically, in this way, you can create a file for JSON format, and let me show you that. So here you can see in VS Code, it is also showing this extension for this. If you are able to see this, just zoom it here if possible. It is just like curly braces, showing dictionary like pattern. So now let me just show you this. Here you can see we have successfully written our data in the JSON format, and it is very useful. And just like we have written our data, now let's try to access this data back. Okay, for your convenience, let me change also this data. Suppose I change here 29 and age to and Rahul. Instead of Rahul, I'm passing it as Raj. Okay, now what I'm going to do? Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to read this data. So for reading this data, I'm going to again read. I'm going to open the file in a read mode. For that, I have to use it like R as file and json.load json.load of file object, and we are just going to need like this. Okay, read is equals to json.load file. Now if I enter this and I try to print read, here you can see I got name Raj and age 29 as per updated one. And let's suppose I change this. Let's over change it to 12. Let us write this one in one line. json.load. If again, if you want to create a block and if you have only single line, you can directly write that line after colon, but make sure that it should be only single line for that. Now if I run this and just print red, so you can see I got the update my age. And let's say if I want to change by print 32, I again going to run this, and after this print read. So you can see I read this. I can read this new value, just updated value, just 32. So this is all about json.data load, dumps, and load. So okay, now let's try to add some more data. json.dump. Let's write this data again, and our data name is like what was our variable json.dump student. So yeah, you have to pass your string, and after that you have to also pass the file object. Okay, I write it in W mode, so it should have appended that. Let me reopen this, and if I reopen, so you can see I got this updated one, and I'm now going to append this data. Now instead of this, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make 21, and instead of Rahul, let me click Raj. And if I now add strings, so you can see I got like this. Okay, it is showing me error. If I try to read it, yeah, I got error here. It should work like this. Let's open terminal. So it has some error. So I think in one JSON file we can pass only one data. Let me recheck this. Just okay, so I got my error, and it is error like I cannot store like this. JSON one JSON file can store up to only one JSON data. And although if you want to store multiple JSON data, you can store it like this. Suppose you have like it now after this tap to go live. And basically it is like a dictionary offset. You can understand it like, or this bracket should not be like this one, it should be square bracket. Okay, now it is going to valid. Now if I try to run this, and let's try to read this. So you can see I got, so if I want to send a multiple of them, I need to store them in list and I have to send after that. So let's try one more time for this. So basically we need to store, and we are going to read dot append, and we are again going to add one more dictionary which is name, and let's say his name is there is not so much his name is Aman, and let's say his age is let's say 18. Okay. So now if I check read, so our read becomes like this. Now let's write a new data. You cannot append to data, or if you want to append a new data, you have to take that data out and create new dictionary for that. Create new list for that. Now what I'm going to write? I'm going to write read, whatever we are reading, and it's like I've also added one more data, so it should add one more data to it. So I'm going to close this, and if I press enter, so it should write this like here you can see. So yeah, I got this data form of, in this way I got this. And currently we are seeing it like it is not that much proper way. It's like, and if you want to uh, put them in proper way, you have to use one more thing, which is indent. So suppose here I have this file, and after that you have to use indent keyword as the space of 4. So you can see now data is very clear, and you can also change this indent as per your use. So you can see I also again change my indent, and 2 is really more better I think. Okay, so indent 2 is more better for here. So in this way you can use this data to print. So save a data, and one more thing which you can do is like pretty printing for your data. It's like if you want to also print your dictionary data or a list, you can directly use it like this way. And I have object like, now I'm not going to pass object, I'm directly going to pass read, and indent equals to 4, indent equals to 2, let's say. So in this way I can print this data in very pretty way, instead of just like you have seen many times, just while printing all of things are like cluttered on one line, and I used for loop for it. So this one makes it clear, and it does pretty printing for us. So let's say you can see example print read. If I execute print read, it is just like this. And so in this way you can use this for your for pretty printing and importing and reading or writing JSON data. Let's say do one more thing, which is let's create a Python program in which we are going to import JSON, and after that we are going to take an input from user. Let's say for n equals to 5, n equals to int input, enter number of students. Okay, now after this what I'm going to do, I'm going to like for I in range n. Okay, before that I want to create list, empty list, And after that, for I in range, l dot append, we are going to append like dictionary with a name. We have a name, and age, we have age. And let's take also with them what we want to take. Let's also store marks. Then we not need age, we are going to store class, because CLA is something else. CLAS, let's say for class, and CLA S. Why I'm using CLAS? Because CLAS is a keyword in Python. Okay, now here we are going to use marks. Now name equals to input, enter the student name, and then class equals to input, enter class, and after this marks should be in int, so we are going to take in data in form of input, integer form, enter marks, and after each of them we are going to print one empty line, so it makes it a little bit clear. And after that we are going for json.dumps, and we are dumping in file location, so it is directly student.json. So I'm going to use with open is student.json, and we need to write the data as file, and json.dumps, we need to use dumps, or no, we need to use dump here, because dump is for basically writing into file. So our data is l, and file name is file, and let's also pass indent equals to 2. So let's try to run this. Let me quit first this one, and then python main.py. That's how we are going to store 3 students. Likewise, we have here 3 students again. So let's go for 4 students. Enter student name. I am going to type my name, Shashank, class 12, marks, let's say 78. Second student, okay, we have typo in student name, but no. And after this, what we are going to write, let's say Anish, and class, let's say its class is like, let's go into class 8, enter marks 90. Tanmay 11, say 90, and let's Pranav, and then class, let's say class will be 10, and then 100. Okay, now okay, I need to just refresh this. Okay, it literally created new file. Okay, I made a spell, therefore it created new file. So you can see in this way you can access this data, and let's suppose you also want to read these data. So let me first save this, JSON by, okay, I saved this version, and now what I'm going to do, now I'm just going to json.read. Okay, and after this we have read is equals to json, and what we are going to print, we are going to print this data in the form of like read. If you're going to print like read, let's try to run this. Okay, missing one portion. Okay, what I missed here. Okay, it is should be json.load, and we lost our previous data. Okay, let's try to do it same. We are just going to pass this one instead of students like this. We are going for student.jsyn, and instead of w, we are going for read this time. Okay, and we need also load, not dump. Now let's run this. So I can see I got this data, but it is not that much perfect for reading. So I am going again use json.dump and read comma indent equals to 4. If I again run this, okay, it is json.dumps. So here it is json.dumps. So in this way, you can create your own Python file and create JSON file using this and read and write data on that. Okay, okay, let me just save this. So that's how you can see. And let's just remember one thing, all of the things what we have learned, that dumps and loads. So let me write this. There is my arrow. So I'm going to write some notes. We have used import JSON. Okay, and there are two commands, dumps and loads. So if you are using s at the end, make sure at end if you have s, then it is for your Python code only. Okay, or inside code. Basically, it is like only for inside code. But let's say if you don't have s at the end, dump or load. At end, no s. So it will just like it will create new. Basically, it is going to create new file to read and write. So that's all about difference, and make sure to not. So basically, if you have a code which is like uh, which is you want to just run into underscore under your Python code and not like outside file interacting with external file system. So you are going to use dumps and loads basically with s, dump and load. And if you want to interact with file system, you need to use dump and load. So that's all for JSON module, and next one is regex. So for regex, and next one is regex. So regex means I already told like regular expression, and it is used to matching many things like just like we have matched the string in our file system. So our next topic will be regular expression. Its full name is regular expression. You can see. So that's all for this video. In next video, we are going to start with regex.